Welcome to Midnight Menu Plus One. I'm Margo Moss.
And I'm Poppy Tooker, sitting in for Ray Canada. Midnight Menu Plus One is a food lifestyle show on the podcast network, itsneworleans.com, where you can also find my show, Louisiana Eats.
Poppy, you've paved the way for independent food and dining shows in New Orleans on TV, radio, and now on the web. It's such an honor to have you here tonight with me. Thank you so much.
Oh, Margo, thank you. Can you imagine? I'm even on the World Wide Web.
Well, I wanted to ask you a few questions so that I'm curious. You know, I've heard you and seen you and love everything you do. I'm a little curious about your background. Like where you started. It's checkered.
It's a very checkered background.
Is anybody hunting for you? Am I going to reveal anything that
Not at this time, thank God. No. I'm a hometown girl. I grew up in New Orleans. I went to Ursuline. Through a bunch of wonderful occurrences, I ended up at the California Institute of the Arts, where I discovered that I could combine my love for food and media right into one big thing, and that's what I've been doing ever since. So I teach and I talk about food and I write about food, and that's what I do.
Well, talking about writing about food, will you tell us, don't you have what your most recent book? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
My most recent book is named for my radio show, Louisiana Eats, and it gives you sort of a behind-the-scenes look at some of my very favorite interviews I ever did, stories that lots of people may not have heard if they didn't listen to the show. And even if they listened, I told in the book secrets that weren't on the show. And there are beautiful, beautiful portrait photographs. And, you know, visuals on the radio kind of suck, Margo. Have you ever noticed that?
Yes.
So luckily, in my book, you can see the beautiful portraits of everybody who you're reading about, and there's recipes too.
Wonderful. And who did you choose to do the portraits and photographs?
David Spielman, fantastic New Orleans photographer, David Spielman, and he did. They're gorgeous. They're black and white. They're very evocative. Leah Chase, Rudy Lombard, real icons of the world, and some people who maybe you don't know at all. There's even a voodoo priestess, Miriam Chamani, is in the book.
Ah, well, it's wonderful to be able to have, like you said, that visual, because people, you know, they hear stories or they have their own experiences in restaurants, but they don't really get to see what someone, you know, they don't get to meet the person all the time.
There's no food photographs at all, but, you know, I bet everybody wishes they could see us right now.
Yes, because we are so beautiful and fabulous.
We are so beautiful with the microphones.
Yes, but seriously, that is another thing I would like to know. How do you stay so beautiful and healthy when you're hitting the pavement every week, trying new places? And I mean, is that just genetic, or you
no, I just
have some crazy trainer?
I am just a firm believer in just eating what tastes good and just having enough of it. And no, I drink most of my calories anyway. That's why I was so happy to be on this show, which is mostly a drinking show, isn't it?
Well, yes, absolutely. We enjoy. One of our coworkers did try and get a drinking game associated with it.
Oh, really?
Every time a guest would say a certain word, we would do shots. That was a fun little.
That was a brief episode?
Yes, it was very brief, but we could bring that back if. I don't know how much the guests enjoy that, but.
Well, Margo, I'm really curious. How did you come to be on the radio?
Oh gosh, well, I'm an idea person. I'm not really. I do not like speaking in public, and I had pitched the producer. I had a great idea for a show, but I was pitching it for somebody else, and
and they said, we're going to make you a star.
Yes,
Margo.
Said, well, great.
Moss.
When are you going to do it? I said, oh no. And my brother always told me I had a face for radio, and I was like, okay. I may never make it in on film, but. So I just took the plunge.
I hope somebody takes some pictures of us tonight, because we are so beautiful, and puts them on the podcast site, because I know everybody wants to see us looking so lovely in this evening light.
Absolutely.
Coming
Under
in the
the
window.
faux starlight.
I
in,
know.
this
Where is
Girl by the
Robert
Hill.
Goulet?
So, Poppy, as you know, each week on Midnight Menu, we invite a member of New Orleans restaurant and food community to join us. And we invite them to bring a +1, a mystery guest. It's someone, we never know who they're going to bring. It could be their Pilates instructor, their restaurant colleague.
Well, that's a pretty exciting twist. So,
Yeah.
who was the most shocking person who ever showed up as a +1, Margo?
Let's see. It's so surprising every week. Honestly, it's so exciting. Not one person stands out.
Well,
I really can't.
I'm about to hold my breath until they come in the door, but who is the guest?
Well, our special guest on Midnight Menu +1 tonight is a New Orleans institution, Eva Louise Perry, better known as Tee Eva, the woman behind Tee Eva's Pies and Pralines.
That is one special girl. I have not seen Tee Eva in a long time, but anybody who knows Uptown knows that her store is that bright orange beacon on Magazine Street near Jefferson Avenue. And if you haven't seen her there, you could have seen her on the street anywhere with her basket of pralines. She is something else. Her gumbo's not bad either, and that's coming from the gumbo girl herself.
Absolutely. Yes, I'm so excited. And some of the locals may have seen her as at one time or another as a backup singer for the late Ernie K Doe, or in a Mardi Gras parade dressed up as a baby doll over the last couple of decades. Or perhaps selling pralines out of that wicker basket.
Well, I have had the occasion to be with Tee Eva at the Jazz Fest when she cooked on the Food Heritage stage with, of course, her dear friend, Antoinette K Doe. But my very favorite moment with her was when she pulled up in the limousine outside of Parkway Bakery, and she and Antoinette pulled that effigy of Ernie K Doe out of the back of it was really a hearse, it wasn't a limousine, and put him in a wheelchair and wheeled him in. And I was just so, and they were welcoming people to sit on his lap. and I said, really, what is this about? And I remember Antoinette looked at me and she said, baby, it's a process.
That's fantastic. Well, let's, without further ado, let's welcome Tee Eva. So thank you so much for joining us tonight, Tee Eva.
Well, I'm happy to be here this evening after a beautiful day at Tee Eva's down on Magazine Street.
What were you cooking up today?
My luscious crawfish pies that people come from all over the world to eat.
I bet they do.
They do.
I'm coming tomorrow.
Oh, great. Why you didn't come today? They just came out the oven.
Oh, I'm always a day late and $1 short.
Oh, I can understand that, too.
So you've always been open on Mondays? Are you?
7 days a week, unless there is something that says, I have some other duties, and then you'll see the close sign on the door. Other than that, Tee Eva's is open 7 days a week at 5201 Magazine Street.
You just can't stay out the kitchen, huh?
Well, I'm not always in the kitchen. I'm sometimes in the dining room telling customers stories about the bayous and down the river, They'd be interested in hearing things like that from me sometimes. It's not
Will you
always
share
in
with
the
us
kitchen,
a little bit about where you're from and where you're born and
a
raised?
little bit of that,
Tell us a story.
They enjoy it, like catching alligators in your front yard when you lived along the riverways, and cut the tail off. I mean, that's mainly what they were eating at that time, where they eat all parts of alligator now, but some years back they only ate the tail of the alligator.
Well, that's the best part, right?
It is. It's
Is it
got
the
a good
most
taste.
tender, or is it the flavor, or what?
It's the flavor. Well, it tastes between beef and chicken. A little of this and a little
How
beef,
would
little
y'all
chicken.
prepare it when you?
Or alligator nuggets, or alligator sauce picante, with some mushrooms, great tomato sauce, and put your spices in there. I mean, it's really some good, saturated in some wine, maybe a night before or something, or the morning before cooking it. It's a wonderful taste.
And did
Over hot rice. Great dish.
did you
And
learn
didn't
that
cost you
from
no
somebody?
money. Huh?
I'm sorry. I was going to ask you, did you have somebody that you watched and learned from growing up that cooked? Or
Oh, my family, my entire family. A lot of cooks in the family. Well, you grow up where all this food is free. You got the pecan trees, you got the sugar cane.
The
You live on
alligator in the front yard.
Yeah, in the front yard, You got the frogs in the backyard going, doo-doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo-doo. You know what I'm saying? Go out there and shoot a few of those with a shotgun, or
what,
if you got a
a
slingshot,
gun?
you could,
A slingshot.
A slingshot. You could do it with a slingshot. You could get a few frogs like that,
But Tee Eva, you came out of the home kitchen and went right into the business. What's that about? How'd you get into business?
Let me tell you something. I cooked for a whole lot of restaurants around here in New Orleans before I decided business.
Well, give us some names.
Well,
Name drop for us.
Okay, I'll tell you, Mother's Restaurant,
Mothers.
the Coffee Pot.
You must have been. Did you work with Miss Chase at the Coffee Pot?
No, I didn't work with Miss Chase.
You
I
must
guess
have come after her.
She must have been there and gone when
She was
when I
waiting
got
tables
to the Coffee
there
Pot.
in her youth.
Because I think when I went to the Coffee Pot, that was back in '80s, something
Oh yeah,
like
no,
that.
no,
in
no.
the
Miss
80s.
Chase was there in the 40s. Excuse me.
Yeah,
I'm
she was
sorry.
probably about a teenager maybe when.
Yes,
because
she
I heard her
was.
say some times ago, at different times, or when I read about her, and she says, how young she was into the stores, to the cooking with the restaurants. Of course, I was very young. The very first restaurant, I don't know if anybody know the name of it, where it was located. Do you know where All Good Restaurant was located at?
You got me.
Anybody in the house know? Oh, there's one.
Across from Tour.
Yes, that's right. That's
From
right.
Turo
You want a
Hospital?
praline. Come to Tee Eva's tomorrow. You get a free praline.
You get the prize.
Yes.
Across from Turo.
Yeah.
And what were they cooking up in All Good
Well,
Restaurant?
they did all American food at All Goods Restaurant, such as corned beef and cabbage with potatoes and carrots. They did gumbos. They had certain days, and they did vegetable soup, and they did red beans and rice, and they did lots of potatoes, like, I don't know, we call it smothered potatoes, and you put cheese on it, scallop potatoes mainly, I guess it's called, huh? And they did steaks, they did hamburgers, they did all kinds of local good food, Mr. Yelling and Mr. Wine, and they were the owners. I think it was a father-in-law and a son-in-law who owned that business.
Huh.
And they had a hamburger joint across the street from Charity Hospital. So I had relatives work there in that restaurant at All Good, and I had relatives worked at the hamburger joint across from Charity Hospital. So I work over there, learned how to make hamburgers. And guess how old I was?
How old?
I'm going to let you guess.
Oh, 15.
You got it. You got it. So
I get
you
a praline tomorrow.
Tomorrow from Tee Eva's. You got it. That's right. That was my job. And another thing that I did, well, I bust the dishes, I ran through the restaurant busting the dishes. They served a lot of doctors and nurses. I guess the whole staff hospital. They were open 24 hours a day there. And they had a bakery shop. And who used to clean up the bakery shop?
Who?
Tee Eva. When I come out, I had icing all around my face, from off the table, where to pick up the cakes and what have you, and all the icing left on the cake, and I just on the table, and I just go to the table and I just eat icing.
Good job.
And I still love sweets today. It's funny, but I do.
Now, I want to ask
think
you,
CD.
this a lot of, did you ever live and work anywhere outside of New Orleans, or have you been here?
Yeah, I worked outside of New Orleans. Most of my work was here in New Orleans. I worked on Bourbon Street in some restaurants. There was a Sammy's on Bourbon Street. I even taught some cooking classes at one of the Sammy's on Bourbon Street. It was in the 700 block. And I worked at Austin's restaurant for about a month and a half, maybe a month and a half, because I couldn't take too much of Austin. Ooh. I'm serious.
Oh, it's unusual women in a restaurant kitchen. We other than the ladies who are making the salad or peeling the shrimp, not many ladies in the restaurant kitchen, huh, Tee Eva?
No, not many.
Isn't that a shame?
Yeah, it is, because it's such a good thing to be able to do, teach other people how to make some good foods, especially our kids today, because they don't really know how to make good foods. I think I want Chris to be my next student.
So, Tee Eva, when you were working there across from the hospitals, did any of the doctors ask you out?
Well, no, I was a little girl. I was just 15 years old. I wasn't old
Well,
enough to-
how
No,
that
I didn't
goes.
get those kind of invitations. I'm glad I didn't,
Me too.
But no, I didn't get those kind of invitations. Everybody was very nice to me.
And how old were you when, well, you don't have to tell me how old you are, but when did you transition into your own business? Was that
When I was about 50 years old.
50?
Yeah.
That's amazing. And how did you have that drive or inspiration to go out on your own and do that?
Because I was working at a restaurant. You really want to know, huh?
Yeah, we really wanna know.
Working at a restaurant that treated me like I was trash.
Oh,
They paid me so little money, and they were looking for Creole and Cajun. Well, I'll put Cajun. I'll say it this way. They were looking for Cajun waiters and waitresses. So I saw the ad in the paper, and I gave them a call, and I said, I'm from Louisiana, and I know how to do Cajun and Creole foods. I said, I was born eating that kind of food, from my mother's womb.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not a waiter or waitress. I could be, but I prefer being in the kitchen because I know how to put the tastes to the food. They says, oh, come on down. Can you come down here for 2 o'clock tomorrow? I say, of course I can. I made some cornbread and cornbread muffins, and it was nice and hot. And it was about probably 3 or 4 blocks from where this restaurant was opening up at. And they had been over to Commander Palace and went out on the bayous and had been down, I guess, in the quarters, I think down by Brennan's, trying to find out about Cajun food.
They were Yankees? Were they
French.
Yankees?
French.
Who were these people?
They were some French folks.
Oh, they were French.
Yeah.
They were foreigners.
And, so I said, I'll come in your kitchen, and we'll do some things together, with a good price. So they sat and they drank wine and they ate the cornbread and put cheese and spread butter, the hot cornbread with the wine and what have you. Would you like a glass of wine? No, I don't drink wine. Thank you. I come here to do business, because I was serious. So they said, okay, we'll like for you to come in and, try your hand at some things with us if you wish. 5 days a week, from 9 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon. Oh, that was great and fine. So we got it going on, and the place seated like 90 people. I turn out like 3 times a night from 2 in the evening until 10 p.m. So that was like about 227 plates of food going out of here, And I'm in that kitchen and I'm cooking. I was so doggone tired sometimes. I go sit in the ladies' room and sit up on the counter there where the hand bowl is. And you know who came in there while I was sitting down smoking a cigarette? Miss Mitzi Gaynor. And she said,
Mitzi Gaynor?
Yes. She says to me, she said, oh, God, you look so tired. I said, I am very tired. I've been cooking since 2 o'clock today. And it was around about 9, that night. And you run out, you know what cooking is. You
I
run
know what
out, you
cooking
got to
is.
start making some more, baking some more muffins and what have you. So anyway, I said, and who are you? And she told me who she was. I said, what did you have to eat? And she told me the shrimp creole. I said, oh, thank you. I made that dish, And she said, God, lady, she said, you are a great cook. And you know what she said to me? She said, you need to be cooking that for yourself. I said, oh, thank you. She gave me an idea, So anyway, make a long story short, these people, they get a magazine, and here they got the magazine all folded up. They want me to see what's going on. I guess it's like about 3 months after we were there, got the restaurant going and all. And it was saying how much money it was making and how many times they were turning over each night, how many people they were turning out, in the restaurant. And they had a woman from Louisiana that was Creole and Cajun.
Oh,
Yeah, her name was Eva Perry, and they had a little write-up in the paper, in the book, newspaper and stuff. And that didn't gel with me. The chef was getting a percentage from each plate. I guess the sous chef was getting something too, but I was the pot cook. I wasn't getting nothing. You know what I'm saying? Nothing. So anyway, they wouldn't tell me what was going on. They kept the book hid from me, and somebody got hands on the book, and I saw the book. So I told them, I had to take a leave of absence. And that's really what started my business on my own. I couldn't take it anymore. I had had enough of it. All these years I've worked for all these people, all these restaurants, and you work for pennies for so long, and then after that, it get old. And by the time I made 50 years old, it was really old. It was worn out,
Well,
But,
you're still here, and I would lay odds that restaurant isn't.
It's not open anymore. It wasn't.
They lost you.
They didn't last 3 months after I left.
There you
They
go.
did not last 3 months. They put some Hispanic people in the restaurant, but they could make Hispanic food, but they couldn't make Creole and Cajun foods, So, but yeah, I left, and that's when it was time for me to go on my own. And like I said, I was by that time 50 years old, but that's all right. I'm happy and doing wonderful.
We are so grateful that you were courageous enough to do that, because we have had many years and many people from around the country come here and love your food and come in just for, to have a pie or pralines. And so
It's all day long, 7 days a week, and it is so nice,
well,
Every day I get some. Today I got some from Alabama. I got some from Florida. I got some that came in from New York. Everybody has
fantastic.
Everybody come in for something different. Whatever they might have seen me on a cooking channel doing. Maybe the crawfish pie. If not, could have been the gumbo with Paula Dean boys. I'm kind of out there with a whole lot of different
Right.
people making foods. So I get around on television. I don't travel so much, but I get around great on TV.
Great. Well, I would love to hear more about that. We're going to talk more about that. But it's time for to meet your plus one. Now, the plus one is where we have you invite someone that you think is interesting, or someone you work with, or somebody that you like to spend your time with, and it's a complete surprise to us. So we'd like to know.
My plus one.
Yes, we'd like to know who your plus one is and why you brought him along, or her. But I can see him here. I just don't know who he is. It's a him.
It is him. And
Welcome.
he is my husband, Mr. Louis Adams.
How do you do? I'm Lou Adams.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Adams. Thank you so much for joining us. And well, obviously, you like him if you're married to him and you brought him along. But we'd like to know
How long has this been going on?
Yeah.
Oh, since the storm.
Oh, he's my Katrina husband.
Yeah, we met each other before Katrina, and then right after the storm, then we really got close with each other, and then we got married in May. So, and we've been happy ever since.
You know, like that song with Aretha Franklin sang, "Somebody save me." He saved me.
Oh, that's beautiful.
What did he do?
He saved me from Katrina. I didn't drown, you know. So that was a good thing.
Y'all live near each other? Did you know? I mean, did y'all?
He used to come by Tee Eva at where was the place? 4430 Magazine Street. That was like between Napoleon and Jenna at that time. And he would come by and see how I'm doing from time to time, and if I needed any help or needed a hand or something. So he was good about that. So here he is, still giving a hand.
Yes.
Now-
Is it true that the way to a man's heart is through his stomach?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll let him answer that.
Well, which one of her dishes won your heart?
Oh, really, all of them did, and I just enjoyed every bit of it. And of course, I have a sweet tooth, and I just enjoyed every bit of it. I'll tell you. And plus, just meeting her and talking with her and everything, you know. And then, you know, I had some problems too, you know, but we were able to mash them out, and we did. And then after the storm, when we got back together, then we decided to go ahead and get married.
Now, did you grow up in New Orleans?
No, ma'am. I am from Wilmington, Delaware. Wilmington, Delaware. And I was born and raised there. Then Uncle Sam called me during the Vietnam War, and I was out in Texas for a while. And then I got on the road driving tractor trailers. Been driving all 48 states in Canada and enjoyed every bit of that. And then I had a route down here through New Orleans, and then been down here ever since.
So you came through and you fell in love with the city and
Yes.
decided to make it home?
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
And when was that?
Shoot, let me see here. It was back in 79. Back in 79 when it first started. Yeah. So I've been living here for many years, and then doing my driving, and then working other places, and then we met, and then we've been together now for over 8 years, and we enjoy it.
Well, Miss Tee Eva, I heard you sang a little bit of Aretha Franklin, and I'd like to know a little bit. You have some other passions in your life besides food, correct? Mm-hmm. You have a beautiful voice, and can you tell us a little bit about your other passion? And
Well, for a little bit, I did some backup singing with Ernie K Doe, the mother-in-law man.
famous
and
Ernie K Doe.
the legendary Mr. Ernie K Doe, yeah. I think I back up singing and with Ernie, I think for like about 6 years before he passed, his second time around, you know. His wife Antoinette and I, we became friends, like sisters almost, and the three of us, we were like 3 peas in a hoe. You know, you didn't see one without the other. And he passed on after 6 years, and then that left Antoinette, Jeannie, and I, and we became baby dolls.
Can you tell us a little bit about what that means for our listeners
doll.
too, who don't live in New Orleans? And
Well, a baby doll is somebody that works closely with the skull man on Mardi Gras Day. And how that came about, because the chief, he's got a wild man, and he's got a spy man, he's got a queen, and the skull man, he walks all alone by himself. Nobody walks with the skull man. So he decided he'll go out and reach for some baby dolls. So he got some baby dolls together, and that's how the baby dolls arrived. They came out with the skull man every Mardi Gras. So now the baby dolls, they're doing a little bit more than just working with the skull man on Mardi Gras Day. They hold functions, and they go to nursing homes, and they sing and they dance, and sometimes they get to do shows with other musicians like James Andrews. That was our last big show we did, the Treme Baby Dolls, and we worked on a jazz fest with James Andrews.
For people who never saw the baby dolls before, describe your costume.
Oh, our costumes, they're darling. We wear lovely satin dresses with probably ruffles on the arms and around the tail of the dress, or sometimes a double layer of ruffles with different colors. We have the sash that tie in the back, and we have our little bonnets on our head, and
kind of short skirts, huh?
They're very short. You know, they like halfway the thigh, the high part of your butt. It's close there, you know. But you have on your baby doll bloomers also, and you have your baby doll socks on. So it makes a pretty neat little costume. And a lot of girls, they love to be a baby doll because, believe it or not, when they were little girls, they didn't have a baby doll of their own. Now, that was Antoinette's real reason, one of her reasons for wanting to be a baby doll. She didn't have a baby doll when she was a little girl.
so it's like it's enjoying something
Something,
from your
reliving
youth.
something that you didn't have when you were a child, And the second thing what made the baby dolls so famous the second time around is Miriam Baptiste and her brother Uncle Lionel. He's gone to heaven now. And Miss Baptiste, she's down in Atlanta, Georgia with her daughter because she's kind of up in age now and she doesn't get around too much anymore. But she usually come out on Mardi Gras Day. She'll come down and share with us on a Mardi Gras Day. And they were the ones, as far back as I can remember, that started this baby doll thing. Her and her sisters and her brother. Because Uncle Lionel, he was a baby doll too, not just girls' baby doll. They had boys'
really?
baby doll too, yeah.
Well, I'd like
Uncle
to see
Lionel was
that.
a baby doll. Yeah, he had
In a dress and everything?
he had his little baby doll outfit on. I think it was like he had the short pants, with the long socks that come up, and one of these full shirts, satin shirts, full sleeves and what have you. But
Nothing like a good costume.
yeah, he had a great costume. And I think that far back as I know, Uncle Lionel, he was one of the first boy baby dolls that I know about. But now I've seen I went to a show where I think it was the New Orleans baby dolls, because now, you have different groups of baby dolls. And they showed some pictures back way back, past 1700. I mean, and there was male and female baby dolls back then, and they were dressed in different kinds of costumes. But I think when Antoinette organized the baby dolls in 2005, that was our first time. She called Miss Baptiste, and Miss Baptiste came over and showed Antoinette how to make the dresses for the baby dolls for us. And it was mainly, she got a mannequin made of Ernie after he had passed. And it was to keep Ernie's name alive. So it was Antoinette, Jeannie, our other friend, she lived across the lake, and we would go out with this mannequin and do shows.
Now-
And do shows with Ernest Manigan.
So, Lou, while Tee Eva is busy dressed up like a baby doll on Mardi Gras Day, what are you doing?
Staying at home.
No, you stay at home? What's the matter with you?
I work very hard. I work very hard. I get out once in a while, to be with my wife, but most of the time I stay at home.
Well,
'Cause-
as long as you're supportive, I guess that's a good,
Either he'll drive me to where we're going to meet at, the baby dolls, where I'm going to meet the baby dolls at, and then he'll go back home, and when the show is over and what have you, he'll come back and pick me up. So at least he's good about
That's
that.
a good husband.
Yes, that's
he's
sweet.
very protective of me, I like that.
helping you celebrate and have a good time.
Yeah.
Enabling you to do that.
Yeah.
And,
He enjoyed me going out having fun, because when we met, he met me having fun, So he doesn't try in no ways, form, or fashion to stop my fun.
excellent.
And
Well-
and when the last baby doll show I did with Ernie was at a wedding on St. Charles Avenue. What's the name of the house over there on St. Charles?
The Elms Mansion.
The Elms Mansion. Ernie and we did that wedding, helped do that wedding for Randy. He used to be a bartender at Tipitina's years ago. Randy did.
So Ernie K Doe sang,
Yeah.
y'all sang, and
We took a lot of pictures with a lot of the guests.
oh, okay.
And I did a lot of second lining and giving out pralines and what have you.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Just regular celebrities there that night.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, y'all, we've come to the part of the show we call Off the Menu. Poppy, you and I each get to pick a question off this list that Chris Keogh, our technical director, dreamed up. I think perhaps while he was heavily sedated on cold medication, but some of them are pretty good. So, Poppy, I'm going to let you pick first.
Well, just as long as everybody knows that these aren't my questions, they're Chris's.
Yes.
And I've tried to pick the one that's the most innocuous, perhaps. But, Tee Eva, I know a lot of people have passed on in your life. Do you believe in ghosts? Anybody come back to see you sometime?
No, I've never seen anyone. Never. But I have a lot of dreams.
They come to you. They come to
They
me
come
in
to
my
me
dreams.
They come to me in dreams. But they never, like some people say, oh, I saw him standing here, walking inside the door.
But don't you think you have to pay attention to those messages?
But the dreams, I pay attention to the dreams, I do. And I feel like they're just happy for me to see how well I maintain myself and how well I'm carrying on,
You're kicking ass, girl.
Yeah, and I think that's what I would hope the dreams are about anyway. But I really believe that's what it is. They're just happy to see how wonderful I am doing, and I'm having a great time. I really am.
Well, that's I like to hear that, because I believe they are looking out, coming to you, and celebrating right along with you.
They're my angels. They are my angels. That's how I feel like. They are my angels because they love me and they want to see me do well.
Well, wonderful. All right. Well, I'm sorry, Louis, but your question is not going to be as easy. No, I picked one that is all right.
Okay.
So, if you could travel into the past, what is something you tell your younger self?
Ooh,
Is that a little intense?
that's a little intense.
Okay.
Well, you could have said be asleep naked.
Yes, I was trying to.
There's worse questions, Lou. We're
Yeah.
being easy.
Do you
Trust
prefer to
me.
answer that?
No, I don't.
You didn't know what you were getting into, huh? This is
I sure did.
well, I'm sure Tee Eva's gonna cook you up tonight with some special pie or something from her day because
him.
Yeah.
But Tee Eva, who are the people who come to you in your dreams? Who comes and talks to you?
Some of them, you'd be surprised. I see a lot of people. Antoinette. I see my sister.
Do they talk?
We usually do things together. We're
Okay.
doing things together, you know. Whenever I see any of them, sometime I see my oldest auntie. We could be in the kitchen cooking, or you know, we're doing something family like, or something business like. I mean, Antoinette and I, we're always doing something business like. I say, why don't you just rest your nerves and leave me alone? You know? Yeah. You know, because she was like bossy, and she like always, she wanted to tell you what to do and how to do things, you know.
She was a pepper.
She was a hot pepper.
And what was Ernie K Doe like? I mean, you know, even if I had seen him sing, that's a personality, you know, maybe
He was
performing is
cool.
not.
Ernie was cool. He was very cool, calm, and collective, you know. And he was always ready to sit down and tell you about his life story, how he got started. And he helped a lot of young people his last 6 years. When they opened up the mother-in-law lounge, there was lots of young people that came through. And some of them doing shows and got big bands right now. And all from sitting and listening to Ernie, and Ernie letting them work there in the mother-in-law lounge, you know. He helped a lot of young people. He did a great job before he left this earth. And he was a great teacher. He was a great teacher. He could teach you that music and tell you what licks to hit. He used to be a drummer, you know. And he was fabulous to sit around. People came from near and far just to sit down and have stories with Ernie about his music and what have you, and how he grew up as a child singing, you know, in the church choir.
Did
little
you
boy
know him
with
then?
his mama. I knew Ernie, but I didn't associate with him because we belonged to a different church. It was a neighboring church, but you know, everybody usually support their own church, you know. But he belonged to New Hope Baptist Church back on Jackson Avenue, and I was at the church over on Washington Avenue. We were located at 2700 block Washington Avenue. But I would see him a lot. Now, when I got to see the whole lot of Ernie, it was after he made Mother-in-Law, and there was a club they called the Tijuana Club down on Errata Street. Errata, I think it was Errata, or it could have been Errata and Rampart, like where they had Sam's. Sam's had a restaurant there, and right in that block, Gloria Bolden, she had this club, was named the Tijuana. Do you remember the Tijuana Club?
I wish I did.
Oh, God. That's where guys like Ernie and who's this other guy that plays piano a lot?
It must have been a big
Dr.
time.
John? No.
Not Dr. John.
Professor Longhair?
Like Alcone of a time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Johnson. yeah.
Professor Longhair. But he did a lot more at Tipitina's, Professor Longhair did.
So
He
when you
played
first
more
got
there.
to sing with Ernie K Doe, what was that like?
Oh, God. That was one of the biggest times of my life. Listen, let me tell you how I got started. Every evening when I finished working at Tee Eva's on Magazine Street, after I met Antoinette, when she first came on the show and said, you know, she and Ernie had gotten married and what she was doing to help him come back again. And I saw the show on Angela Hill. And I said, this lady looks like a nice lady. I say, I think I would like to go down to her place, talking to myself, and meet her. And so I did. And Jazz Fest was coming up at the time. And I went down, I took some flyers, and she said, well, I'm busy right now. She said, you put the flyers there. She said, and when I'm not so busy, she said, I'll give you a call, and you come down, and we'll sit down and talk. And I said, okay. So, okay. It happened. And I went down, and I met her. And I got to meet Ernie again in life, you know. And so every evening I would go down when I close up Tee Eva's Pies and Pralines, and I would bring some sweet potato pies for Ernie because Ernie loved my sweet potato pies. I would bring that for him, and I would go sit. I was drinking a Budweiser at the time, and have myself a Budweiser. I never drank over 2 beers, but I would have me 2 Budweisers, and it had good music on the box, you know, and I would play me some numbers. And I'd stand right in front of the box and dance by myself, the music box, dance by myself. And she would be sewing or something, and Ernie, he's watching all the old movies in the back. And Mom, which is Antoinette's mama, she's sitting down and she's tearing up newspapers, you know, or she's writing and she's tearing them up and stuff, you know. That was her busy time. So, and I would be dancing. So Antoinette said to Ernie once, she said, you know what? She said, Tee Eva is really light on her feet. She said, Ernie, why don't you have Tee Eva and I to become backup dancers for you, and that will broaden your stage. And of course, whatever Antoinette said, Ernie was all for it. You know, he said, he didn't choose no words or nothing. He said, all right. Then I became a Ernie K Doe backup dancer, you know, Antoinette and I. And let me tell you, sweetie, I worked 5 jazz fests.
Oh, what fun.
And was that heaven for me? Because I always wanted to work on a big stage from a little girl. I thought I was one of the greatest dancers and still do in the
dream
world.
come true, huh?
Oh, yes, that was a dream come true. And then I got to go to Washington, and we did a show, Ernie, Antoinette, and I, and another lady that I love so well. She was there, and I got to meet her and Shirley Caesar, and I got to do the last part of the show with her on stage. And I never dreamed I would ever meet Miss Shirley Caesar, you know? And I mean, look, this was really, really great, you know? And I got some pictures in my window now. Whenever you pass, you will see the Ernie K Doe and his backup singers, Antoinette K Doe and Tee Eva Perry, in the red, white, and blue outfits when they worked 1999. Oh, that was a great year.
Oh, wow.
That was a great year, 1999. And if you want to hear me raise some hell, you mess with one of those pictures that we had from 1999 in our red, white, and blue outfits. You know, that was great. It was really fun. I got to do some other shows with Ernie. We went to Virginia Beach. We did some shows down in Alabama. We went different places. We did lots of shows at the Rockin' Bowl. Oh, my God. Rockin' Bowl. We kept Rockin' Bowl hot. And we did shows at the Howlin' Wolf. We did shows at House of Blues. I mean, come on. I mean, I did some shows, you know.
That's
that was
amazing.
great, you know. Because I wouldn't have got to these places otherwise.
All
I
just
wouldn't have
because
never got there.
you went to meet Antoinette.
Yeah.
It's just being at the right place and just stepping out,
Yes,
isn't
just stepping out, you know, and look what I got, you know. And would you believe, a lot of people says to me today, they say, oh, God, they say, you got to be rich. rich with what? They said money. I said, what? Because you used to be a backup singer and dancer with Ernie K Doe. I said, oh, yeah, huh? I said, Ernie K Doe made that money a long time ago.
it? That and $1.50 will get me on the streetcar.
But it was fun. You know, it was something I enjoyed doing. It was something I always wanted to do as a little girl, and I got the opportunity to do so. But I tell you what it did for me. it was a lot of publicity for Tee Eva praline and pies.
There you go.
Because every time Ernie hit the stage, he say, Tee Eva is my right hand. He say she make the sweet potato pies and the pecan pralines, and then everybody want to come and get some of Tee Eva pies and pralines. And he always say, bring a basket full of pies and pralines. Guess what? That was my pay.
He had you working, coming, and going.
Yeah, but it was fun. I enjoyed it.
I could sit here all night and listen to you.
I know, huh? It's so much fun,
Well, I just wanted to let's just get out a little bit more information about Tee Eva's. You're open 7 days a week, and what's your hours, and tell everyone the address, and if you have a website or anything that you want to. And we also want to thank you all for coming, because I know you are full of exciting things going on, and I
All
know
the
you
time.
give to the community besides just your wonderful food and stories. So we really appreciate y'all coming down here and spending the evening with us.
Yeah, thank you. I was so happy I could get over here after a long day's work and share some of this good stuff with you all, It's really wonderful. But Tee Eva is located at 5201 Magazine Street. The telephone number is area code 504-899-8350. The restaurant is open 7 days a week. It's only dark if there's emergency, or sometimes I have to go out and take care of other duties for people in other places, because I sing in my choir at my church, and I have to go to church, and I have to perform different times with my choir, so sometimes the restaurant have to be closed. Other than that, we are there making good food, serving up lots of snowballs. We have some of the best snowballs on this side of heaven. You must come and try one sometimes. Great pralines that go all over the world. And have you all seen that wonderful commercial of Tee Eva?
No.
Oh, my
I
goodness.
think we just heard a wonderful commercial of Tee
Google,
Eva.
go to Google, NOLA.com, and you Google it, and you're going to see Tee Eva, Deacon John, and you're going to hear Professor Longhair. And Tee Eva saying, wow, I love New Orleans.
Well, Tee Eva, we love you. You were our
Thank you.
special guest tonight on Midnight Menu +1, right from Tee Eva's Pies and Pralines. And Tee Eva's +1 was, of course, her darling husband, Lou. And you can find out more about Tee Eva and about me and Louisiana Eats by following the links on our podcast site. It's neworleans.com.
You can hear past shows on itsneworleans.com. And while you're there, you can check out our blog, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Or just Google Midnight Menu +1 and we come right up.
Midnight Menu is brought to us tonight by Petite Pet Care. If your pet needs to be fed, walked, or looked after while you're at work or on vacation and you don't want to board Fido or Fifi, Pet Petite Care has you covered. For loving care when you're not there, Pet Petite Care. Petite Pet Care. Find them at petitepetcare.com.
Thanks also to Monkey Hill Bar on Magazine Street. At Monkey Hill, you can enjoy a 5-hour happy hour every weekday from 3 to 8 p.m. And every Tuesday is Taco Tuesday. Coronas, margaritas, and sangria specials, plus $2 tacos.
Well, I guess that's it, Margo.
Yes, that's it for tonight's show. See you next time on Midnight Menu +1. Till then, I'm Margo Moss.
And I'm Poppy Tooker. Ray Canada will be back next week.
Midnight Menu +1 is produced by Grant Morris, Margo Moss, and me, Ray Canada. Our technical producer is Chris Keogh, and our director of everything else is Mary Ross.
You can find photos from tonight's show on our website, itsneworleans.com. On itsneworleans.com, you can also check out our blog. You can listen to lots more episodes of Midnight Menu Plus One and other shows, including Out to Lunch, Happy Hour, True to the Game, and Mindset.
And you can hook up with me and Margo anytime by following Midnight Menu Plus One on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
And please be sure to subscribe for our mailing list. And the fabulous audio quality of this show is brought to us by the equally fabulous Chris Kehoe and PreSonus Audio. More information about PreSonus recording equipment is at presonus.com, presonus.com.
Midnight Menu Plus One is a production of INO Broadcasting for itsneworleans.com. For all of us here at Midnight Menu Plus One, thanks for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you back here next week on Midnight Menu Plus One. I'm Ray Canada.
And I'm Margo Moss. Good night.
You know Labor Day signals the unofficial end of summer, but not the end of your outdoor projects. Lowe's helps you do it right and helps you save with Labor Day deals throughout the store. Shop now and get 2 bags of Stay Green potting mix for $12. And keep your lawn looking neat and trim with a Craftsman 2-cycle 17-inch gas string trimmer, now $20 off at just $119. Whatever's still on your to-do list this Labor Day, do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. Offers valid through 8/28. Soil offer excludes Alaska and Hawaii. U.S. only.